Hello to the first episode of JavaCasts. I want to show you how to get a boot application running. Exactly 3 boot applications, one from the command line, a REST API, and a web possibility. You start at start.spring.io. You define which, if you want to use Maven or Gradle, you can use the version of Spring Boot. You define a group and you define an artifact name. We will call this one boot. So the class that we will run will also be called boot. And we download it, extract it, import it to our IDE. So now we have in the JavaCast the boot application. This one won't do much. It will start and it will end again. You will have some output of some Spring classes, but that's it. So now let's make the console application. To do this, we need to implement an application runner. This means we need to create the run method. In the run method, we can do whatever we want to, and we will just write out hello world. And if we run this, we will have to start it up again, but then we will have written out hello world. That's it. So let's go on to the REST API. If you wanted to do a REST API, we need to get some more dependencies. Spring Boot has these different starter packages. And to do a REST API, we need the Spring Boot starter web. Now we have to do some changes at the boot application. We don't implement the application runner anymore. So we don't need the run method anymore. But we need some kind of method. We will just call it index. And it will return a text. And the text is again the hello world. But now Spring has to know which route to use. So we have to give it an annotation. And we have to tell it which URL to respond to. This is the root URL. And we need the annotation REST controller so that Spring knows that this is a REST controller. So the string that is returned will be the response. If we run this, it will start up and it won't stop, because now that's a REST API, so we can access it via HTTP. So we take our browser and point it again port 8080 on localhost. And here is our string, hello world. But how about something a bit more interesting? We don't want to return just a string, we want to return some data, like a hash, like a map. So we create the response. And we need to give it some values too. So if we start up again, it won't return just the string, it will return the mesh as JSON. Okay, how about we want to return some HTML? So we need some template engine. We will use Timely for that. What we have to change now, we won't return a map anymore. We will return a model and a view. And we have to give the view a name. We will call it index. So now we have to create the view. We will have to put it in the source main resources directory, and there into the directory templates, and we will call it index.html. Now some HTML in the HTML file. Again, we just write out hello world. So if we start this now, no, we have to change something. We still have the REST controller. This is now our controller. So Spring knows that it has to render a view for it. But if we start now and point our browser again to the same URL, we will have this HTML page. Hooray. But this is a bit of boring. We just have this HTML page. So we want to use the template engine. And Thymeleaf uses these th attributes. And th:text means replace the content here, the content of the tag with the content within this attribute. Now we have to, of course, to provide some model information, what to display. So we will create this here, and we will use a parameter that is given from the URL. So we add the parameter. It should be a string, and we have to annotate it again, because Spring needs to know, well, which parameter should it use. So we give it the request param and give it a name. And we also give it a default value, because if we won't, it would fail. And we start. And we get an error. Okay, let's see what's the error. Okay, Thymeleaf, template engine, something with the template engine. Okay, P must contain, not contain. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, we forgot to do the quotes. Okay, let's start again. And now everything is working. And if we do some parameter, like 2 to JavaCasts, we will have the Hello JavaCasts. So if you want to check out everything, you will find all the code on GitHub too. Have fun and see you next time.